So here we are, two former peers, two very good friends, um, Director of Development of Bridge to Recovery, Chief Administrative Officer of Bridge to Recovery. Almost 4 years ago, November 23rd, 2016, I met this incredible man, Bryon Mead, Mark Bogie here, if you didn't know that already. I showed up at Monroe, our flagship house, our very first house, and met this wonderful person. I was petrified. I was a gay man coming into a house full of straight guys I didn't know. I felt insecure. I thought I was going to come in, get my recovery, leave, because that was my pattern, and never expected a relationship to form like our relationship has evolved into, brothers, family, connection like I don't have with many people. And I am forever grateful. And if you had told me at that point when we first met that we would be sitting here taking this organization to the next level, I would have been like, what? And it's just a testament to this program that it changes lives and develops relationships. And I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned here is that you have to have relationships, strong relationships, and you have to work at maintaining them and apologizing when you're wrong and helping the other ones out and each other out. And it's just, isn't it weird how, like, would you have thought like you'd be friends and living with this 50-year-old gay guy who, just strolled in? You had seen people coming and going before I even got there. So, I'm always interested to know. I mean, we talk so much that we know each other's story. They're different, but very similar in many ways. And, somehow, because of what we've learned here and from each other, really, I mean, my recovery wouldn't be what it is without you in my life.
For sure.
You kind of ground me and make me a better person just because of your kindness and your graciousness, and you're just a good soul where I struggle with that with myself, and your constant reminders of that I'm not a bad person, that I'm not as mean as I think I am. And I mean, it's important, I mean, he's just a sweet guy, and we've been through a lot together. And Roads to Recovery is responsible for giving us a place to find ourselves and to develop into people I think we always were, but drugs and alcohol and all the other stuff just, put this wall up that we couldn't cross, and somehow it tore that wall down. I don't know. I always ramble. I like to talk a lot, but I can't say enough about this guy. I just, I don't know what I would do if he weren't in my life.
Yeah. I feel the exact same way. It's interesting. It's funny, the two different dynamics, how like we are so different on paper, but what brought us together and what keeps us together is just amazing. And but it's funny because I had Mark's able to wing these type things. I had to write out my questions for you, but you already covered. I never really asked you like what your first thoughts were when you walked into Monroe, and you just see like we had like a little clique of like some of the younger guys, and and then you had like Robert and some of the other people that were like older, but it's like I just always wondered like what you thought when you walked into that house.
When I walked in that house, I was relieved, that, it was a nice house,
Yeah.
because I have lived in some
Yeah,
hovels,
yeah.
and I just, but I had become so accustomed to program to program to program to a different setting, to a different, decor, to all that, to different, personalities that, you know, I was used to it. It
Mhm.
wasn't like an awkward thing because I had
Yeah.
done it so many times, but I had really, in most of those situations, had to suppress who I was,
Mhm.
um, as a gay man, and that's just hard because I'm quite obviously, um, gay. Uh, and being in Lynchburg, and
Mhm.
it's a pretty conservative town. It's not as progressive as Philadelphia, where I was in many programs, and it was not abnormal. Just you know, I could be myself more. So when I walked in, and everybody was nice,
Yeah.
and you just in particular, you took me to get food the very next day. You took me to Thanksgiving
Mhm.
dinner the second day I was
Mhm.
there. Um, you went out of your way to make me feel less scared,
Yeah.
because we provide food and we have this, and and that's gotten even better over
Mhm.
the years. But I had nothing,
Yeah.
and you made sure that I did. This guy who's like 15 years younger than me, driving me around because I had no car. I did have a license, but that stuck with me,
Mhm.
and it was just like, uh, I wanted to make sure that you were going to be a part of my
Mhm.
life forever.
Yeah.
And because of those little things that you did for me in the beginning when I had nothing, um, inspired me to um, try to help you as much as I could, as
Yeah.
I progressed
Mhm.
and got better, because it's just those little acts of kindness that people sometimes don't think that that's a big deal.
Yeah.
But in my head, and learning what I did here about helping others and giving back, and being supportive, and advocating for people, I just wanted to make sure I didn't lose
Mhm.
you,
Yeah.
because your kind of kindness and warmth and gentleness is definitely something I'm not used to, but I gravitate
Mhm.
towards because it softens me, if that makes
Yeah.
sense, um, and makes me evaluate and reevaluate, the way I am, because I've always been the way I am,
Mhm.
very, and you're just more, and I get to see a different side, and it's been a good training, kind of just to observe, and because as much as you've done for me and as much as I've done for you, there's no like, I've done more, you've done more,
Mhm.
because your presence in itself is just a ray of light to me. And what breaks my heart is that this ray of light that you give off, I know you don't always feel
Mhm.
inside. And, you've also taught me how to educate myself about mental disorders,
Mhm.
because for you to sit there and tell me, I feel no joy today,
Yeah.
but yet you're trudging along and smiling. And I mean, if I felt no joy, you damn well know if I wasn't feeling joy.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so I can't say enough. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a Bryon plug video, because I mean,
No.
it brings together, this program brings together all different sorts of
Yeah.
people.
I think that's what I learned. When you first came into the program, like you said, it wasn't a secret that you were coming in as a gay man. You don't. I was, and it was very refreshing too that you didn't suppress that. And it's something that you always. I feel like you're so good at is letting people know who you are. and that may not have always been the case, but it definitely was when you came to the program. And it's like, and initially I was drawn to you because I just like my heart was kind of hurting for you because I was like, man, I can't imagine what it'd be like to come into this town as a gay man, not know anybody. And so that was my original thing, was just like I wanted to be of service to someone who needed help, but it just didn't take long for me to see who you are. And that person is just like an incredible person. And this, I don't think we either of us intended for this to be a hype session for either one of us, but when I start talking about Mark, I can't help it. You're just, there's no one, I've yet to meet anybody in my 35 years that will put in the work that is necessary to put in to get the job done, that has work ethic like you do, that is driven like you, that cares on a level that is just beyond a lot of people, because you will tell people what they need to hear a lot. And that's something that a lot of people can't do. And even kind people have a hard time. I have a hard time with that. We've talked about this, is that it inspires me for when you give people tough love. So anyway, getting a little bit off topic because I had some other questions for you.
Ask away.
So, you talk about, and this is another aspect, like both of us came from such different backgrounds as far as like even recovery type stuff. You talked about the fact that you have been in a lot of other programs before here. So I was just wondering, like, have you been able to pinpoint what took place in your life, what changed in your mind, and also what was different about Rhodes than other places?
I say this over and over again when I walked into the door at Rhodes, at our old offices, and met the people that were there. It was just I heaved a sigh of relief. I really did. I felt like I had instantly, found, like, this is what I've been searching for. And I believe that, the people, people out there who say, oh, he's been going to another program. Sometimes that is what you take a little bit from each place you visit.
Yeah.
Some people can get it on their first go around.
Yeah.
I envy those people, but typically, someone pursuing recovery, it takes a while. It takes finding that right mix of, I had never felt so unjudged, I felt motivated, supported, loved. I mean, hugs out the wazoo, which I really don't care for. But I knew that every time I walked into that office that I was going to get greeted with a smile. I wasn't like, oh, here's Mark again. Yeah. And that was important because I had burned every bridge. I had my friend Angela, who, would pick up the phone if I called. Yeah. Unless she knew I was drunk and I told her not to answer, she would know if I was drinking anyway. She was quite tuned into my habits, but I burned every bridge. Yeah. Everybody wanted me to get my shit together and I refused. Yeah. Alcohol was more important. Rhodes gave me a view of the world that I didn't think I could live in freely without drinking. And it showed me that there were people who want to help and are going to walk with you every step of the way, supporting me, advocating for me, making sure I got where I needed, making sure I had food, making sure I had stuff for my bed, it showed me that I needed these relationships, these things that I kind of just was like, I went from program to program. You make the best of friends in these programs and then you leave and you never talk to them again. And I was determined that wasn't going to happen after I was there for probably a week. Yeah. And I just felt like, I met you and you had done all these things for me and just been kind and, oh, wow, like you do need people. You can't do this alone. And I was determined to do it alone. I was going to fix everything and I was going to do it on my own. I was going to do it my way. And this was the first place that showed me that my way isn't the right way. Up until that point. Now my way is the right way. Yeah. My way is the only way. But And I don't believe that.
No.
I've learned to admit when I'm wrong, to say I'm sorry, to really evaluate what comes out of my mouth, hopefully before it comes out.
Hmm.
Doesn't always happen. Then, that's when I say I'm sorry.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. The people that we get who come to this program, you know, everybody that gets admitted, I just feel like you're so lucky.
Hmm.
You don't know it yet,
Yeah.
but you're really lucky to be here because it is such a unique, um, it just, I don't know. There's something different about it. And
Hmm.
I think the peer aspect, or I know the peer aspect of it, that everybody who works here is in recovery,
Yeah.
was important to me
Yeah.
because they knew what I was going through until they understood. And I wasn't talking to somebody who didn't know what I was
Yeah.
actually dealing with. And,
Yeah.
and that's why my heart is here.
Yeah.
It's just, if it could change my life, if it can change your life, if everything you've been through, it can change anybody's
Yeah.
life.
Exactly. I've heard that story, and I love hearing it every time. I just want to make sure viewers that hadn't heard that, because I think it's such a powerful story when you do talk about that first time you walked into the office, because it was the same for me. It started at the very top. And the founder, she just exudes love, and it's just something you don't get in this world ever very often. So
And chances, and people make mistakes, and we realize that.
yeah.
You know, I don't know. I could talk about this forever, and I get speechless about it
Hmm.
at the same time
Yeah.
because you know I work here, and I'm very fortunate, and I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it just, there's something about this program that you know if I got anything, if I could take my recovery and my relationship with you,
Yeah.
and it was all over, but I got to keep those two things, um, I'd be, the happiest guy in the world because, I got my recovery,
Hmm.
and I have this person in my life that is part of my family.
Hmm.
And I wasn't that person before
Yeah.
this. That didn't matter to me.
Yeah.
Holding on to things,
Yeah.
you know, I don't, typically I just walked away.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of us were good at that, detaching from everything, reality, and everything.
How do you manage everything? I mean, I don't know how you do.
I think, I think, um, when I came into the program, it was a lot had kind of fallen at once. Um, and all I needed was a foundation. I just needed something and someone to ground me. And I talk about like just how awesome it worked out that, you know, first of all, that I didn't even know anything about roads. I was essentially homeless. Um, and just so happened to work with somebody in the program, found out about it, didn't think I had a problem, realized later I did, came in and I was taken in the first day, and I just so happened, just was blessed enough to end up at Monroe, and so all I needed was just like just something firm to hold on to, something strong to hold on to in those first few days, because I just, like you said, I had just been diagnosed with bipolar, and I had just come to terms with, hey, I do have a problem with addiction, and so, and you know, my family justifiably had to let me fall. It was, I had caused enough destruction, and so not having, like, all that was all super overwhelming, yeah, but it's like I could come home every day and just feel, like you said, just feel that love, and like not being judged for my past was just unheard of. It's just, they never cared about any of the crimes I committed, any of the lies I told, any of that stuff. And that's like, and you never did. And that's why, like, I talk about, like, recently how I've discovered that, I started these relationships when I got into roads, and initially it was with like this a few guys that are my age and stuff like that, and we were acting like idiots all the time and immature and all this stuff. And it's like it's so interesting because I needed that probably at first. I needed to just come in and have fun and just pretend like my world hadn't crumbled around me, in the previous few months. But then you came into the program at this perfect time, and I just talked about like you took it seriously from day one, and it was just your maturity was just so evident.
That's funny.
Hey, and there's different levels and different types of maturity, but no, you didn't you knew that it would when the time comes you have to put in the effort and stuff like that. And so watching you was just this inspiration. And that's all I really need is I needed a firm foundation to come home to at night. And eventually that became you. We we worked together. We lived in the attic together. All this stuff. And you were always there, and I needed that consistency. You were always there. When I went back to jail, you were there. You were the only one there. And I needed to feel that level of unconditional love and support that I just wasn't used to. And that was all I needed to get through all the difficult stuff of trying to figure out mental health, co-occurring stuff. All I needed was just to come home and see you up in the attic watching true crime shows. Like having that consistency was just so awesome. And then it was just, and then just learning about like something that I just didn't know a lot about was people. Like I'd lived in Richmond for a while, but Lynchburg really was home. And it's just a different city here. It's a different, and it's got different people, a different population. And getting to know you just broadened my worldview. And it showed me that there's just so many great different walks of life. And I'm not even just talking about you being a gay man. I'm just talking about just
What?
just the way who you are is a lot. Like I said, on paper we're just totally different people. And it's just been so awesome to getting to know you. So
I
yeah.
want to, we're probably taking too long, but I feel like I have to say this. Look at this person right here, this sweet, kind, gentle person. I think part of the reason I'm looking at the camera because people who own businesses, people in the criminal justice system, Roads to Recovery is a chance giver. And it broke my heart to see this guy who is educated, who has a work ethic very similar to mine, a loving father, an incredible friend, struggle to find work because of the crimes that he committed while using. I want people to know that people change, and giving people chances to prove that they can change is of vital importance to people with substance use and mental health disorders. To watch him struggle to pay child support, to help his wife, to pay his bills because he couldn't get a job that would pay him enough money because of his record, that totally motivated me to help you any way I could because you deserve the chance, because I know what a great person you are. And to watch him go out and not be able to find a good job that he was qualified for, I find unacceptable. I think he did his time. He's paying his restitution. He's been sober for 4 years. And luckily, we were fortunate enough to get him here. But we're chance givers,
Mhm.
and we need more chance givers out there because
Mhm.
people change, and we are living proof that people change.
Mhm.
And uh, I want that to resonate and get out there into this world, because if we're constantly going to be judged by what we've done in our past, we're supposed to move on from the past, make amends for it, say we're sorry, pay the price, do the time if we have to do the time, pay the fines if we have to pay the fines. But there has to come a point where we get a chance again. Road to Recovery gave me a chance. Road to Recovery gave you a chance. And, chances, be kind, love one another, treat people how you want to be treated, be honest. They showed me all of that.
Mhm.
And I believe in chances. We
Yeah.
just were on the phone with somebody who needed a chance. I believe in giving them a chance.
Mhm.
And that really is what
Yeah.
I felt horrible for you, because you were doing everything you were supposed to do, but yet you couldn't get ahead.
Mhm.
And that's bull.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it pissed me off. And
Yeah.
I was like, well, then I'm going to help him however I can. If I can make his life a little bit easier so he can do what he has to do to get to where, I almost felt horrible of my success, because you deserved it just as much, but because you have these things on your record, that you've taken care of.
Mhm.
I mean, it just pisses me off. It does. Anyway.
Thank you. And I think advocacy is key. I think you're right. It's not just myself, it's so many of us that struggled through that just we aren't given chances for years down the road. And and it's great that that employers will say, okay, well, let's see if you can do well for 7 years. But what are people supposed to do for those 7 years? And it ends up, and the sad thing is it makes people question their worth, and it affects recovery for a lot of people,
Yeah.
which is understandable.
It does.
So you're the CAO here, and it's super impressive how you've done this. You basically brought yourself in and taught yourself how to do all this, which was amazing to watch. But one thing I always wanted to ask you, and I was thinking about yesterday, was, did you ever have a dream job? Like, did you?
I wanted to be famous.
Really?
No, I mean, I waited tables my whole life, and everybody told
Yeah.
me I should be on stage. But
Yeah.
I knew once I pursued recovery, I kind of believed that I wouldn't be able to stay sober unless I was helping others.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine doing anything else, because the gift of helping others has changed my life.
Yeah.
And because there were days where if I died, nobody would. Who's going to come to my funeral? Nobody.
Yeah.
What is this person done? If I died today, I know there are people out there that would say he helped change my life.
Yeah.
And I could die happily, because at least I left a mark somewhere. No pun intended. I couldn't imagine, it used to be I wanted a job where I was going to make a lot of money, because money ruled my world. And now it's, I'm perfectly happy with what I have. If I never got any more, I could live a comfortable life.
Yeah.
And come to work every day and help change people's lives. As I would, I was given a gift. And because of this program, and I never want to leave it, because seeing that gift given to others and watching people transform their lives is just the most incredible thing in the world. And we're lucky to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And to work side by side now. And so
that kind of, I guess you answered my next question. Was, well, part of it you said, what's the, I was going to ask you, like, what's the most rewarding part about this job? But I think, that's kind of obvious, just seeing when that light clicks on, I think for guys and women in the program. But I was just curious, what is the hardest part?
Being nice. No, I'm just kidding. The hardest part, watching people return to use, watching people who seem fine one day and the next day are in tears and have a drink in their hand or a needle in their arm because you see yourself and you know what that feels like. That and you feel that heartache with them because you know that they don't want to do it, but they still have that compulsion. And I was gifted with, like, I don't know, some kind of divine intervention where that compulsion for me, has dissipated very much. And that's the hardest part, is coming in and not knowing somebody had returned to use and finding out and just going, oh, and then what can we do to help them? How can we help them get back in or get to where they need to be so that they can come back? So that's the hardest. And then, watching people die. But it's going to happen. It's going to continue to happen because there are people out there who just can't accept that their, disease is not going to go away. This will never end unless you end it. And some people end it by drinking themselves to death or overdosing, and it's a sad fact. And that's why, we need to hold these events to raise money so we can help more people. And we've grown immensely in the last few years. And, that's why you're here, because of your skills, so you can, drum up some money. And, unfortunately, it all takes money. And I think, are we going too long?
No, I've still got more.
Okay. You can edit.
This is a question I was actually thinking about for like some of the other peers in the program, but I was actually curious. Like, I think I know, but I didn't, just so that people can hear maybe what you found. But what is something that you have found since being sober that helps you to decompress? Because I know, like, so many of us, that was what we used alcohol and drugs for, was to decompress and to run away from the stress and all that stuff. So is there something that you found since?
Candy Crush.
That was going to be one of my questions, was what level you're on Candy Crush now.
I'm back to like 1,000 something because I had to reprogram my
phone. I know,
but honestly, my favorite time, I worked hard at building the few good friendships I have, but I'm just that kind of person. I don't need 5,000 friends on Facebook. I need a good core group of, a handful of people that, are part of my life. But for decompression, I really just enjoy my alone time, like, in my room or, laying on the couch for a couple hours. I get up extra early in the morning just so I can sit there and just do what I do. I kind of have a routine, and it's probably one of the most favorite times of my day because it is the first time in my life where I can be alone, where I don't feel forced to be alone because of my alcoholism. Because before, I was alone all the time because I couldn't go out into public unless I needed to go get more booze. And then when I had to do that, it was a huge undertaking for me to get myself together to walk or, unfortunately, drive to where I had to go to refuel. So I could lay there in isolation. And that was just horrific. Anytime anybody says they just want to go be, when they're using, I'm like, that is a death sentence. To isolate like that it messes with your mind, it messes with everything. And to be able to do that, and have a bubbly and, an ice cream sundae in my bed, it's simple things. I have really learned how to appreciate all the little things and enjoy them. And knowing I get to decide when, I want to be alone, when I didn't have a choice before. I had to be, because I couldn't walk out. I did get drunk in public, but I didn't want anybody to see me. Because it was that bad. It was, it was just horrible. So, that going home, see my mom. You know that I do that. I just take a couple days and just go and tune out. But, you with your kids, I guess, is it?
Uh,
I don't know how you could decompress your kids, but
yeah, I mean,
he
I
has
think
3 lovely children.
yes, yeah, I think time with my kids is probably my biggest decompression, believe it or not. But you touched on, I think something. If I know we are running long, but I do. I was hoping that you wouldn't mind touching on. You know, you mentioned your mom and something that I got to see from start to finish, or not. Well, it's not finished yet, which is great. But you know, just the beginnings of that was your. You know, was getting back in touch with your family. You know, I got to see, you know, how heartbreaking it was for you in the beginning when you had that letter that you wanted to send your mom and you just didn't know what to do, and you know you're just wrestling with that because you hadn't talked to them, and you know they hadn't been a part of your life. And so and now to be where you are now, I think that can be very inspirational for anybody that's watching, because I know, like, you know, when we lose our family, that's kind of a last straw for a lot of people. So could you talk about like that, how that's been?
It's
um,
just the most amazing thing in the world. It's like I came in to this program and they kind of guided me on steps to take because,
Mhm.
as addicts, we want it all fixed
Mhm.
now,
Yeah, yeah,
you know. I haven't drank in 2 weeks. They should want me back in their lives,
yeah,
but they've seen that over and over and over and over and
yeah,
over. And it's like, it's not going to take 2 weeks. It's
yeah,
going to take a while. And kudos to my mom,
mhm,
especially for
yeah,
baby steps,
mhm,
because, but, in the office, they'd be like, write a letter,
yeah,
First, I just wrote a letter and didn't send it.
mhm,
Then I, slowly, strategically kind of letter to my dad, who had turned into kind of a softie like I can
mhm,
be, believe it or not. And then my sister,
mhm,
and I got responses.
yeah,
And then I sent my mom.
yeah,
And because my mom and I are kind of a lot alike, it's like, before it was like who can hang up on who first,
yeah,
basically. And, I got a little note back. It wasn't as much as I wanted,
yeah,
but it wasn't about what I wanted. It was
yeah,
about what she was prepared to give,
mhm,
and that she could give anything. Was like that little note was hope
yeah,
on a piece of paper,
yeah,
because she actually took the time to write something. And, it was very short and sweet. And then, I got a Christmas card
mhm,
and it said love mom on it.
mhm, I
And that
remember
was
that.
like, she said love.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was like, oh my God, I could die today. Or, because my biggest fear was losing one of my
Mhm,
parents
mhm,
and being off in la la land,
mhm,
not knowing where's Mark.
mhm,
Well, and, and then unfortunately my father got sick, and, you know, hats off to my mom for just, it was like nothing ever happened,
mhm,
which is like kind of like, well, you don't have to talk about that. It's over, you're here, you're
yeah,
sober. Let's just move forward. And I like that. And I don't like it because I do like to talk about,
yeah,
but I am perfectly happy with what we have. We have a great relationship. To be able to help her,
mhm,
for her to call and ask me, advice on
mhm,
certain things, how to fix this, it's just, but the thing is, I was willing to listen to somebody else,
mhm,
because if I had done it my way, I would have pushed too hard
yeah,
and pissed her off.
yeah,
And I just did. I literally did, for the first time in my life, something about being here. These people know what they're talking about
mhm,
because they've been through it.
mhm,
And I just did. And every time I followed somebody else's advice who had been there before,
mhm,
and it worked, for me.
yeah,
It doesn't work for everybody. I some people were going to hold on to that resentment and
yeah,
that hate, and you have that in your life.
yeah,
People are just so, I'm like, what?
mhm,
There's something wrong with me,
yeah,
because I know what it feels like to hold on to resentments
yeah,
and not to forgive, and you carry that with you.
mhm,
You know, it's
oh
all
yeah,
on you. You
yeah,
can hate all you want,
yeah,
uh, but that hate just walks around with you wherever you go.
mhm,
You can just let it go and forgive. And the people that can't move on, then you have to move on for
yeah,
them,
yeah,
because it's not worth your recovery. Or,
mhm,
if somebody doesn't want you in their life, then
yeah,
that's their choice. And that's, I feel sad for people who can't forgive. I was lucky.
yeah,
Some people in the program have come through have to work a lot harder, and sometimes it doesn't happen. There's some people I'm sure never want to talk to me again, but there's people I certainly don't want to talk to anymore. But but I've moved on from that.
Yeah.
Because if you're toxic, if you're still using,
Yeah.
in an addictive way,
Yeah.
I can help you,
Yeah.
but I have to keep.
Yeah.
And I've learned that from here. Boundaries.
Yes, exactly.
So but it's the most amazing thing to be able to go home and when my mom give me her credit card number to order something on Amazon, I'm like, really?
Yeah. I don't think those moments ever get old. They're always
But
special.
anyway, it's just how amazing. I mean,
That's just
taught me how to live.
It was so great. I just wanted everyone to hear that, just because it was such a great example of just being patient and not expecting too much from family members that have been hurt, and you pursued it, just so, like you said, you listened to everybody who's telling you what to do, and then you're rewarded by the fact that it's great. I love One of my favorite things is when you go see your mom on the weekends, not just because I have the house to myself.
Mm-hmm.
No, but really it's because it's just it shows just that seeing that relationship being rebuilt is just amazing to see. So thank you for sharing that.
I do want to say, I don't think it would have grown, or I don't think anything in my life would have changed as dramatically as it has had I, most programs I've gone to, there is an exit date.
Mm-hmm.
And that pressure to try to solve so many things. And then 2 months, what am I going to do? I got to figure out where I'm going to go. I don't have anything. And knowing that when I walked through that door, that was my home for really as long as I wanted to be there.
Yeah.
And we have people who've been here for 4 years, and if this is where they need to be, if this is keeping them alive and having a good life until they're ready to make that move, that is a stress reliever for sure. I mean, and it gave me the time to rebuild this, because if I had said I was in a recovery program and I'll be here for 2 months, and then my parents would just be like, oh great, we know what happens when he leaves. So I was given the choice to say, I'm ready to leave.
That's a great
not
point.
I have to leave. I could figure out, at a year, I was like, I'm ready, but I'm not ready because I don't have stuff to stay. Save up. Don't leave. Get yourself some furniture. Okay. And I did it. So,
All right. Now, this is a serious question.
Lord, Catherine's getting bored. Just kidding.
If you had to eat one of these 3 items for the rest of your life, what would it be? Pizza Hut buffalo wings, thin and crispy pizza from Kroger with added toppings that you like to do, or your homemade pasta with clam sauce. Out of those 3, which one would you pick to eat for the rest of your life?
For the rest of my life?
Yeah.
Which one do you think it would be?
Oh man, you love wings.
Do you love wings?
But I don't know, honestly, because it just seems like you like
probably the pizza.
Really, you do love that
because it's so good and it's so easy to make. it's cooked in like 14 minutes. Dinner.
Oh, man.
The wings take like, if I cook them the way. Oh well, Pizza Hut wings. They don't.
Extra.
They're already cooked twice.
Yeah, cooked twice.
It's a toss up, but I'm plugged to Kroger. Extra thin, crispy crust pizza with extra pepperoni is just banging, and it's like $5. I'm still kind of frugal when it comes to food. Every once in a while I splurge, but what about you? You would be anything you can dip.
I don't care.
If it's got a dip,
yep,
I'll eat it.
I love condiments. All right, well. That was really my only funny question I had. I had more like funny questions, but I just feel like
what one thing do I do that really gets under your skin?
That's what I was going to ask you earlier. We've lived together on and off for like 2.5 years, almost 3 years.
I love it because you were so kind, and I think because I'm older and like I don't know, but I feel like you are petrified to like call me on anything.
No, so I was going to ask you the same question. What was your number one pet peeve? So you have to answer your number one pet peeve of mine, or that I do. Well, it's difficult to the one like picking out one thing that gets under my nerves because there's so much. No, I'm kidding. No,
I
because
believe it.
no, because you're clean and you work hard and all that stuff. So it's like honestly, it's finding an illogical one for me. There's not logic to finding to somebody that likes a clean house. Um, you know, I don't. Maybe the only thing I'm just
He's
not.
petrified to say it because it's on the tip of his tongue.
Sometimes you don't do it all the time. Sometimes you let your door slam into your bedroom at 4 o'clock in the morning when you get up.
Yeah. So you ever hear me go sorry? Because I do usually say that. That's it.
I know because
Great. The text about I should not have to clean up after your children.
Oh please, that's the truth. I don't take offense to something that's true. That'd be a logical thing of mine.
My biggest pet peeve about you, toss up. Probably that you stay in your room so much. Like sometimes I feel like you just don't want to be around me sometimes. I mean, and I understand, I like going to my room and stuff too, but I don't know. Or if you don't eat what I've made for you. Even though I didn't ask if you wanted, I just cook it and go, I made bacon cheeseburgers. Oh, and you go yummy, and then you don't eat it.
Oh man,
that kind of upsets me. But I end up eating it anyway.
I'm gonna do a cheesy one.
I almost didn't ask you if you wanted Jersey Mike's last night because I felt like, well, he never eats anything. I get him anyway.
I do eat the stuffed scallops.
Yeah, you eat those. Yeah.
No, I think this one's a cheesy one because it's going to go back to boosting you up, but it's true. Is I wish you weren't so hard on yourself about you thinking that you're a mean guy because seeing the side of you that I've gotten to see, especially since starting to work here. We're going back to this cheesy stuff. I'm sorry. It's just been amazing. And I texted you last night about that, and I felt this overwhelming need to let you know that people are going to remember the tough love you give them. And you're so good at that because you don't just cut people down and leave them down. You always try to lift them back up. And every time you're doing it out of so much love and concern that it's just so apparent. And I think you tend to believe this idea that you're this mean, gruff guy. That's just not true. And I've told you this, we talked about it in my office, that everyone shows love in a different way. And the way you do is a remarkable way. It's a very different way. It's not a typical way. And that's why you're going to feel that way. But it's extremely true that those guys that you've, especially here lately, some of the ones that you've given this tough love, and some guys that aren't in our program anymore. But when and if, and hopefully if and when they get recovery, they're going to think back to those moments. And the reason I know that is because the moments I remember during my recovery journey are when someone has told me the truth that I needed to hear but lifted me up at the same time. And that's what you do. You're so good at doing with these people, with these peers. And it's amazing to watch and it's great to hear. And I just, it's a pet peeve of mine that you tend to cut yourself off as being mean when, it's just not true. So.
Well, I appreciate that. It's just, the one thing I'll tell everybody who comes in here and anybody who's watching who is thinking about recovery, if you're ready for recovery and you have this much willingness, just this much, we can help you expand that willingness. But I'll say to them when they're sitting in my office, if you are sitting here, if your addiction brought you to us, we're thankful that you made it. We want to make you part of this family. If you have come to Road to Recovery because of your addiction, it's never going to end. It's never going to end. It will never end until you put some work in and let us help you. I say to Sandy all the time, thank you so much for everything. I did the work, she says. It was me. But if I didn't have the network of support that's provided right here in this brand new building, well, old brand new building, I wouldn't have made it, because I just got so much from here, and it's just, we're a recovery program. If you're here, you need it. You just don't come to Road to Recovery because you're doing okay, and it's just never going to end. It took me till I was 46 when I got here. And for the younger people, it's like you've got 3 lifetimes ahead of you. If you're 25, you got 3 more 20. I have a whole nother lifetime ahead of me, and that's how I choose to think of my life now. And I say it in a way that's just direct, and this isn't going to end. It's going to be another office. It's going to be jail. It's going to be a casket or cremate. I mean, you're going to be dead if you don't. So, and that's what just breaks my heart. I just want people to get it. But I didn't get it until I was 46. So if I'm talking to a 25-year-old, I'm like, well, I know what you're thinking. You've got plenty of time. I'm here to tell you that it's never going to end.
Well, you partly answered my last question, which was if you could tell, if anybody's watching, happen to be watching, that is struggling with addiction, what was the one thing you'd like them to know? I think that was a great way to put it, that it's not going to end until you're ready to.
If you want recovery, call us and we can help you. Prepared to be honest, prepared to put in some work, prepared to listen to somebody else who's gone through what you've gone through, because we get it and we're here for you, and we will love on you and we will guide you, and it's here. Recovery's here. Recovery's possible. We will give you the chances that you need. We won't judge you. This is just the place. This is wholly the place to get recovery. You get everything here. And but until you're ready, it's not gonna work unless you're ready. Just this much willingness.
Yes.
Seriously.
I know it doesn't. It really doesn't take much, and I think you touched on the great thing is that willingness to listen to people that have. I mean, we don't like to believe it early in recovery, and it's just something. There's this wall up. We like to think we're the only ones that have gone through what we've gone through, and it's just not the case. It's just not, and it's part of the disease is to be self-centered and to think that that's it, and it's just not the case. And we're all here. We've got a staff of people that have experienced this, and we want to help, and that's what we all want to do at the end of the day. So for anybody that is struggling in addiction right now, or if you're a family member of somebody, just reach out to us. We have so many resources we can help people with, and not every story is going to end up like Mark and I's. We've got something special that there's absolutely no price on. I will never forget. You will always be my brother. But if you're a family member, you got to walk that line and not giving up hope, but also not enabling a person. And sometimes the best thing you can do is let them
give them our number.
Yes.
Let them be for a while. And we'll do all we can to help. Because there is recovery here. And if you need help too as a family member, we've got that support here as well. So I think we have really talked our ears off. Catherine is probably like, I'm going to be editing this for hours. But that's just because we could probably talk forever and ever. We've actually never really sat down in this kind of format and talked. And I love you.
I love you too, buddy.
And this is amazing. So I guess we got carried away.
That's all right.
It's all true. Recovery's here. Thank you, Catherine. She's behind the camera. We love her too.
Stick around for more segments.